Hello and welcome to Global News Factory. Brace yourself. The next big flashpoint in global conflict might just be South Asia. It did not start with tanks or fighter jets, it started with a brutal act of terrorism. On April 22nd, 26 Hindu men were killed in India's Kashmir region. The terrorist group that claimed responsibility was TRF, the Resistance Front, a rebranded face of the notorious Pakistan-based Lashkar-e-Taiba or LET. Yes, the same Lashkar that's banned by the UN and the US. Nothing new there, just Pakistan doing Pakistan things. Now picture this, a young couple on their honeymoon, a week into their marriage, the husband never goes back home. He is one of those killed. The bride is left with wedding photos and a funeral. That's not just news, that's heartbreak. When these images surfaced in India, the mood turned dark. The people were not just angry, they were done. The demand was loud and clear: punish Pakistan. This was not just another terror attack, this was personal. Prime Minister Modi's government is now gearing up. Army, Navy, Air Force, all options are on the table. Because here is the truth. For decades, Pakistan has been running what many Indians call a terror factory. And this time, India looks ready to shut it down. Even Pakistan's own defense minister recently admitted on camera, no less, that the country has been doing dirty work in the region for years. You cannot make this stuff up. Watch this.
The things cooled down then, and now again the same thing is...
You do admit, sir, that Pakistan has had a long history of backing and supporting and training and funding these terrorist organizations.
Well, we have been doing this dirty work for the United States for about 3 decades, and West, including Britain.
So what's happening now? The world is choosing sides. Russia, for example, has openly backed India's right to defend itself. US Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth echoed the same. But then comes the EU in its classic role as the uninvited peace teacher. On May 2nd, EU's foreign policy chief Kaja Kallas had the audacity to tell India to show restraint. Excuse me, what? The EU has been arming Ukraine, provoking Russia with sanctions, and rejecting every peace initiative thrown its way. But now they want India to calm down. The hypocrisy is so thick you would need a chainsaw to cut through it. Few months back, EU even issued a démarche to India asking it to ditch its neutral stance and side with Ukraine, effectively demanding that India ruin its decades-old ties with Russia because, well, EU said so. And now, when it comes to India's own right to self-defense, the shameless warmonger EU is singing the tunes of peace. Meanwhile, Russians have been trolling the EU hard. RT India mocked Kallas on X with a clown emoji. The post said, European warmonger tells India and Pakistan to show restraint, taking a brief moment to stop beating the war drum against Russia. Anyway, Kallas is a laughingstock for the world. 3 years back, while defending EU's sanctions on Russia, she said, there's no room for negotiations with terrorists.
You don't negotiate with terrorists. You don't negotiate with terrorists.
And now she wants India to negotiate. And here we are talking about real terrorists. But it's not just Kallas disappointing India. Even US Vice President Vance, who was actually in India when the attack happened, let many down. Instead of standing strong with India, he issued a vague warning about avoiding regional conflict. Watch this.
Our hope here is that India responds to this terrorist attack in a way that doesn't lead to a broader regional conflict.
Really, Vance? This was India's October 7th, a terrorist massacre targeting civilians based on their religion. Would anyone dare tell Israel to show restraint after that? Let's be clear, India does not need more lectures not from the EU, not from Vance, and definitely not from anyone who has turned a blind eye to Pakistan's long record of terror exports. India has lost 26 of its people. It has every right and responsibility to decide what comes next. Whether it's diplomatic, economic, or military, that decision must be India's alone. Because if terrorism can be excused and restraint becomes the default response to mass murder, what does that say about the world we are living in? Thanks for staying with me. You're watching Global News Factory.